Brought to you by BaseCampEd. I'm Morgan, your host of the Homeschool Curious podcast. Whether you're deep in the homeschooling world or just starting to get curious, I'm here to bring you inspiring conversations with parents, educators, and business owners navigating the wild, wonderful world of parenting. Let's get curious together. Welcome to the Homeschool Curious podcast. I'm thrilled to kick off our first interview in a lineup of incredible guests. Through launching BaseCampEd and joining the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network, I've connected with some of the best minds in homeschooling. And today we're starting with a powerhouse, Lisa Nehring. She homeschooled all 5 of her kids, built a thriving business, and now leads True North Academy while hosting It's Not That Hard to Homeschool. In this episode, we dive deep into what sparks that homeschool curious flame. As a parent of young kids, I left this chat energetic about our future homeschool journey. And Lisa's insights will inspire you too, especially if you have middle or high schoolers. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Today's episode is sponsored by BaseCampEd, a community building app that is free for parents to find local, like-minded families, dedicated teachers, and educational resources. Connect with parents to form your own co-ops, playdates, or groups. Need a math tutor or a sports coach? Teachers can list their credentials. There is also a business platform to discover game-changing educational brands. Take control of your child's educational journey. Visit their website at basecamped.com or download it in the App Store. Homeschooling was never meant to be done alone. It takes a village. Build it with BaseCampEd. I have Lisa here joining me, and I am so excited to dive in and chat with you. But before we do, if you don't mind, Lisa, just do a quick introduction about you and your family.
Well, thanks for having me on this show. My name is Lisa Nehring, and I've been married for 40 years, which is crazy to think about. And we have 5 kids who are now between the ages of 22 and 38, and we homeschooled for 30 years. I own and operate True North Academy, as well as It's Not That Hard to Homeschool.
So let's dive in first about just your homeschool experience. Like you mentioned, you have over 30 years under your belt. Did you always know that you wanted to homeschool your kids, or did maybe the first older ones go to a more traditional school and then you changed? Or tell me that journey.
Yeah, so I always had wanted to homeschool, which sounds so funny. We started homeschooling in 1991. And a few years before, I'd gone to a Bible study where somebody had mentioned homeschooling. But really in my head, I just kind of had this idea that I was going to homeschool. Way back then, nobody really talked about it. And I don't know why I wanted to do that other than I was really bored in public and private school. All the things that I loved to do were outside of the school time. And it just felt like a big distraction to the fun things that I really wanted to do. So when my oldest daughter was in preschool, I was in a master's program, and I took that opportunity to write a master's degree on why parents homeschool their kids, and did a history of education in America, and really developed an apologetic for alternative education. And we decided to jump in, and we just really never looked back.
You were homeschooling before it was cool, like 1991.
I was homeschooling when people were going to jail for homeschooling.
Yes, exactly.
Our park leader actually had gone to jail for homeschooling.
Wild. What would you see as maybe the biggest differences today? Like, you have probably seen homeschooling evolve the past 30 or so years. Like, how has it changed in your own perspective?
Oh, it's changed so radically. For one, I don't think the homeschoolers are considered the outliers anymore. And we used to get this question all the time. What about socialization? Because
oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, when it was illegal, we didn't go outside during the daytime or go to, just were more careful than we need to be now. But there weren't just the amazing plethora of activities, proms and blah, 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 that are just really prevalent everywhere right now. I think the main reasons why parents homeschool are the same generally. I wrote my master's thesis on why do parents homeschool their kids. And the two real reasons that I came up with way back then were social role selection and education. And I really see that being pretty similar now, that I don't think that has changed too much. The other big change is it is now $1 billion industry in the homeschool world. And so you have so many options. The first year we homeschooled was the second year Sunlight was on the market. And one of the co-authors was in our Sunday school in Los Angeles. But that was like the big alternative curriculum. And now there's just like thousands and thousands of options to choose from. So that would be a big difference. Yeah.
So in my own terms, a homeschool curious parent was me for 3 years. Like somebody who was kind of curious about it, not fully committed, doing research on the side or talking to people about it. But then when I first met you and then you just mentioned too about you writing a thesis about people like me, I was like, you need to be my first episode.
Aw.
Like what makes a homeschool curious parent to you?
Right. So I think a lot of parents are really concerned about education. And really, what education is preparation for the future. And are their kids going to have vocational training that they need to provide a comfortable or nice lifestyle for their kids? And as parents, we always want better for our kids. Like we always want them to stand on our shoulders and go forward and go ahead of us, right? So in America and really around the world throughout time, education means you get to move forward. And so some of us are looking at the news and seeing what's happening with education. 2020 really made it apparent as parents were watching it on Zoom, what was going on in the classroom, that their kids weren't really necessarily getting academic skills and tools. There was a lot of social engineering going on in schools and that kind of thing that really took precedence over reading, writing, and arithmetic. And we're seeing this played out in the test scores. America has some of the lowest test scores of every developed country. I mean, it's just crazy the amount of money that we're spending and what it really takes to teach a kid to read to the point of literacy. It shouldn't cost that much. I mean, $50 and a dedicated teacher and, several hours, you're going to have a literate person. And yet we send our kids through school for years and years and years, hours a day, and they still can't read. They still can't do basic math, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the number one reason I think for a lot of people that they're concerned about where they're going to educate their kids. The second reason is for people who have put their kids in the school system, still trusting it because they might have had a really good academic program themselves or really good experiences, and they want their kids to have those same kind of experiences. But it has to do with social role selection. And that's just a really fancy term that means where does your kid fall out in the community? So way back when, a lot of the parents that I was interviewing, their kids were bullied, their kids were ostracized, their kids were name called or whatever. They were picked on by teachers or something in the community was really causing them grave concern for their kids. And I think we see that on a greater scale now. Just the fact that you can go to Target and find bulletproof backpacks, that's a problem for a lot of parents, right? Like this is social role selection. You don't want your kid to be the one who is in the way of a bullet. I mean, I hate to be that crass, but when we're selling bulletproof backpacks, that's a concern we're having. And so social role selection has changed a little bit with some of the social contagions that are going on, but it's still a great concern for parents. And really the two big concerns for parents are healthcare and education. How do I keep my kid alive? And how do I train them to really be a functioning member of society and create an amazing life for themselves? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to go back to talk about reason one, a lot of comments I see are parents then being like, I want to do this, but I don't think I have the ability to. What would you say to a parent that maybe thinks that they can't do it better than the school system can?
Well, I'm sure we've all seen that meme that says you're trusting a system that didn't give you the confidence to do what you're asking it to do, right? So,
yes,
right there. But also, if we can read, write, and do simple arithmetic, we can teach our kids. Now, we might not know how right now, but there's a lot of tools and resources to teach us. It really just takes curiosity and the desire to know how to teach your kids. And I had 4 grandparents that I don't think any of them went past 4th grade, I'll be honest, in an educational system, but they were all amazingly intelligent people. One of them built a house from scratch with his two kids. His wife was no longer in the picture. They were farmers. My grandpa actually traded stock and stuff like that. He was an electrician, self-taught, but then got certified, et cetera, et cetera. So they were very intelligent people, able to do amazing things, very literate. They could quote Shakespeare and the Bible and on and on. And yet they didn't have a lot of formal education. So I think we just need to like trust the fact that we are educated. What tools and skills do we need to pass that education on to our kids? It's not that hard to homeschool. It's not that hard to educate our kids. Honestly, that's one of the big things about the public and government school systems is that they're requiring billions and billions of dollars to do a job they're not doing well that doesn't take that amount of money or time. And so
Yeah.
we need to take a hard look
Yeah.
at that.
And to dive in a little bit more about reason two, you mentioning the bulletproof backpacks. That's so sad. I didn't even know that existed. But there's studies too that say and show that homeschooled children are happier and less anxious and can really thrive and do the things that they want to pursue and are passionate about. Did you see that with your own children too?
Yeah, my kids never went to a public or private school. They were all homeschooled from the beginning. And we had so many activities going on. It was crazy. And with five kids, and my kids are 3.5 to 5 years apart in between each one. So, you plan your life and then you have your life. So that was our life. They were never, we didn't have a cluster of kids all
You don't
together.
want to be like me with four
Well,
kids under five?
I maybe not quite like that, but I was hoping they would be closer together, but it just didn't work out. And so we had a preschooler and a college age kid at the same time, and
That's crazy.
it was a little crazy. So we had a house fire like 15 years ago, and people came. It didn't burn down. We had to clear out the house because we're in the far north, and people were like, "Wow, you guys have so many things going on in your house," and I was like, yeah, we homeschool and we're here all day. So they were just involved in a lot of different things, but it was
Yeah.
really fun. I mean, it was a great way as adults too, just watching the world unfold before your kids' eyes. What a joy,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
really.
So, a lot of the listeners that I have for the Homeschool Curious podcast are parents and especially moms who are either they love to work and they don't want to give that up. They have to. Maybe they're a single mom and they need, or are dual working and we need both incomes. But when they were little and when you were homeschooling,
Yeah,
you did work.
I
How
did.
did you manage it? What was your typical day? How did you do it?
Yeah. So when I first started homeschooling, I had a 5 and 1 year old, and I was working professionally in Los Angeles. My husband and I were both in graduate school. I was paying for two kids in daycare, which was costing about as much as our rent. It was crazy.
Yep.
My kids were miserable. They were sick all the time. So I started a home daycare. And I did a home daycare for 3 years until my husband graduated and we left LA. But we did the home daycare and I homeschooled my oldest daughter at the same time. So we did all the field trips. She did school while I was doing reading with the younger. I mean, we had a full house because we were in a graduate housing situation. So we had four other kids from 7:30 to 5:30 every single day, 5 days a week. It was
Wow.
busy. I had read a lot of John Holt's work and read every Growing Without Schooling issue. You can find them free online. And so we used Sunlight Curriculum actually, which is a literature-based program. So the kids got a lot of story time. We read a lot of books. We did a lot of projects and activities and then did field trips. And it was a lot of work, but it was fun. And then at the back end, when I still had two kids at home, I went back to work professionally. My husband had a health crisis, and so he's an independent contractor. You know how that works. If you don't work, you don't get money.
Yeah.
So I went back to work for a company I'd done a review for, and I was basically an academic advisor for homeschoolers around the world. And I decided what they needed to do for their curriculum. I ordered it. I made sure they were doing it and I had a lot of students. So I did that for a couple years while I was also doing an academic program for my two younger kids, and they were pretty independent at that point. And then when I started True North, they did most of their classes through True North. I had one daughter still at home at that point.
So
So
you started True North Academy, your business, while you were homeschooling too. So tell me a little bit more about what True North is.
Yeah. So True North is a 6th through 12th grade live online and self-paced classes that you can order a la carte. You can order one of our programs. We have Core 4, we have a tech and trades track, and we have a dual degree program where students can earn a bachelor's degree in high school. And we started that program because I needed help as a homeschool mom. And my younger kids, we'd been homeschooling all these years. They loved the freedom. They loved having hours to do their projects and all the cool things that they love to do. They did not want to go back to a traditional classroom. And so I was looking around for other programs that were online, but not just a talking head. And a lot of us saw that in 2020 where the kids just go online and somebody just yaps at them and then go do your homework. And there's no interaction. There's no place to ask questions, those kind of things. So I wanted to start a program where my kids actually had human interaction with a subject matter expert that was using gamification and using tech in unique and new ways, not just substituting in person for online. And so that's what we've created at True North. We have a lot of gamification. We do digital escape rooms, web challenges. Our German class meets with a class in Germany, learning English, those kind of things. So more interactive and dynamic. Plus, we keep our class sizes small so the kids get to know each other and the teacher.
What's like the typical size?
Usually 15 to 20. Some of our upper level science classes will take up to 30 kids, but we try to keep it, 20 is really where we want to hit it, because on Zoom, which is where we deliver the live classes, more than 20 is hard to keep track of everybody visually. So
yeah.
And
you mentioned something real quick that I'm not trying to change the subject. You mentioned back in 2020 when whatever state you were in, if the school was locked down and their kids were home for months or maybe like even nearly a year, the parents have a very negative view of homeschooling because they weren't prepared for what it was. So they have this idea of the child staring like you said, at a talking head and no interaction. And just children shouldn't be sitting and staring in front of a screen all the time anyway. But then we also mentioned too in the beginning of our conversation, parents that might be concerned, especially as kids get older. When the kids are in elementary school, I can teach my son reading, writing, math. But as they get to 6th and even high school grade level, it starts to get a little bit more complicated and complex. So your program offers the help that, if a mom wasn't great at doing algebra when she was in high school, they can do that through True North, right? Yeah. That's kind of how it works.
Yeah, exactly. So we offer math, science, English, history, 7 foreign languages, and marketable electives. So by marketable electives, I mean those things that your kids can actually start a job with in high school. We also do some classical classes like logic, because I think everybody needs logic at this point. So yeah, you can do a la carte or you can take a complete program. We are some families' school, like they take all of their stuff with us.
So if it is completely online, how much is the child
online
on the computer?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our classes are generally 1 hour per week. So if they're doing French 1, they take a 1 hour French 1 class with the teacher who teaches live from Italy every week. And then we have a really robust learning management system, which is a virtual campus. The kids log on to there. They have extension activities. They upload, they download. That's our system that helps them interact with the teacher throughout the week. But they're not online all day, every day.
They're learning from online, and then they're doing a lot of hands-on offline.
Yes. So they might have a workbook. They're going to have other things that they interact with outside of the online education. Yeah.
Something I have learned from starting my podcast and meeting people that are experts and have done this for so long is it is truly wild to me that you can go and do only 1 hour of actual focused learning a week. And by the end of the school year, probably learn more than the average of somebody that in high school at a normal traditional school has to go 1 hour a day sitting behind a desk doing every single one of those subjects, like 6 hours a day.
Well, we get that question all the time because a lot of people do call, they're looking for a 3 to 4 hour a day program. But again, when you're focused and the focus is on one subject, Now, every time we teach an hour of French, we're talking about French. We're talking about the grammar, the vocabulary, the culture. We're not bringing in a lot of extraneous kind of things to that
Yeah.
classroom. So it's very focused and intentional, and the homework is focused and intentional. And so they're getting that focus. Yeah, it's hugely
It's,
different.
I could see how a working mom would love this program though, because my son could be sitting right next to me at this dining room table
Yeah.
doing his online classes while I am focused on responding to BaseCampEd emails, and we're
Yes.
chit chatting, and if he has a question, I'm right here.
Yeah.
Truly, you actually can do it.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, a lot of the families, the parents are there, which we encourage, like, don't put your kid over in an attic and tell them good luck to you. But the parents are interactive, and we get a lot of
Yeah.
responses from families like, we had the best discussion tonight about science or about history because of what they're learning. That's one of the
Yeah.
beautiful things about online learning. We have experts from around the country and the world,
That is
actually. So
incredible.
you're
Like,
not
they're getting like top notch.
they are. We have a
Yeah.
PhD teaching science. We have somebody who worked in high levels of public policy and was on CNN teaching history. I'm just going to give an example. My youngest daughter actually graduated from high school fluent in one language and conversant in a second, because you still have
Wow.
that ability to personalize your kids' education and focus on the things that are of interest to them. And so she only did one formal high school science class, but she did 8 credits of foreign language. So she studied 5 languages and then just one formal science class. She went on to get all A's in all of her science classes, make the dean's list in college, graduate early. And so, I mean, she's a smart girl, but she's not like a genius or anything. She's a good, solid, hardworking, smart person. So I say that because any of your kids could do the same thing. It's just a matter of intention. And the great thing about doing education this way is that you can still really personalize your kids' education. I always focus on state laws when I'm doing academic advising with people, making sure they've got a solid typical course of study. But if they have a student who wants to take 3 science classes a year, why wouldn't you do that? We're not created to be average. We're created to be
So they
ourselves.
truly can pick
Yeah.
how many classes and all of like the subjects and all of that.
Yes, exactly. It's very
That's
personalized. I mean,
that's amazing.
our goal is to make sure that the kids succeed. So placement is really important. Like, you don't want them
Yeah.
to be way over the top or way bored or anything like that. But if they can handle it, absolutely. And we often have kids who are taking 2 languages at a time or 2 sciences. Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, I know you probably can't share all of your trade secrets, but another thing I had never heard of until doing my own research and then finding True North is that you have a dual degree program where
yeah.
they can, in the 4 years of high school, receive their undergrad as
Right.
well. How do they do that?
Yeah, I've done a lot of speaking on this. Traditional academics in our country and around the world really are in free fall. The idea of college for all really watered down academics. Our colleges and universities are getting a lot of outside money, and the baby boom is over. So, one college or university per week is closing in America. A lot of people don't realize that. And so, there's just a lot of tension going on in higher education. We've been able to partner with accredited colleges and universities to provide a bachelor's degree in high school. So, the kids take our classes. And we've modified them to make sure that they're meeting the requirements. They go to a private college portal, take a test. There's a study guide there for them. Take the test. Once they pass the test, they accrue college credit. And once they've accrued 120 credits, they're awarded a bachelor's degree from an accredited institution. So they earn an accredited high school diploma from True North, and then an accredited bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree from an accredited college or university.
Like you said, I didn't even know that statistic of that many colleges closing, but
Yeah.
I do feel like it has shifted. And I think when my kids, who are very little, by the time that they reach high school, college isn't, that's what you have to do next. I'm in my 30s, and it was weird if you weren't going to college
Yeah,
after high
right,
school.
right.
I don't think that's going to be the norm in
I
10,
don't
15 years.
know. Well, 85% of jobs will be different by 2030. 85% of jobs in 5 years won't even exist yet. We don't know the names of them yet. Let's be honest. AI is changing everything. But here's the interesting thing. So, of course, we need computer programmers for AI. We need electricians for AI, because without electricity, AI doesn't work. And so the trades are going to expand
Yeah.
and specific degrees and certification programs are going to expand. But if you're sending your kids to college for $100,000 to get a Brit Lit degree, you really need to rethink that return on investment. I went to college way before the College for All ideology came into being. It was like half of us went to college, half of us went to work. We found our spouse, we got married, we had kids. And then it shifted to college for all. Like it was a right of the American to go to college. And not everybody needs to go to college or
Yeah.
can afford it. Plus, college expenses have skyrocketed. College textbooks alone are 400% more than they were 10 years ago. Plus, they're electronic, so you can't rent them from the library and get money back. It's just 400% more. So expenses are crazy. And for a lot of our 18-year-olds, they've never taken out a car loan. And now we're just saying, sign on the dotted line for $20,000 to $30,000 in debt a year. It's really
Yeah.
in some ways play money in their mind. And we need to have some hard conversations about, is this how you want to spend the rest of your life? Paying off this debt. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And at high school, I knew kind of what I wanted to do. And I think it would have been weird at 17 or 18 to go right into the workforce. But do you think that would change? Like, I think what I did for 12 years was a corporate recruiter. My mom was a recruiter. So which is a weird career to know that you want to do.
Yeah.
Like most people kind of like stumble into it, but I always knew that. And so I kind of college, what, like you said, was kind of a waste. I went to a cheap college and I was very lucky that my dad like used to laugh at the bill because my older siblings went to way more expensive schools. But I went to a cheap state school literally just to kind of like get by to when I'm 21 and it's more like normal in society to
Yes.
apply for a job. But I learned everything I needed to learn in that first job about recruiting. And then
Yeah.
my mom was like, come work for me, but I'm not going to teach you everything. So like
Yeah.
you need to go find your job first. Let's say your high school students are graduating with a degree. If they already have it, what are they typically doing at the age of 18?
So a lot of them have already started their own jobs or businesses. They're very entrepreneurially minded, or they're going to apply to grad school. So I
Yeah.
would say those are two big chunks of our kids. The other
Yeah.
group of kids they have some really serious learning disabilities or challenges, and so this is a way for them to get the piece of paper. I think the piece of paper is still really important. That college degree can be really important still because it is
Yeah.
like
A hundred
it
percent.
adds legitimacy to a lot of people. And what it says is you can complete this course of study, not necessarily that you learned those skills. So
Yeah.
I think having that piece of paper, I think kids are going to go into jobs like recruiting at 18. If they have the personality and the emotional wherewithal to manage it, there's nothing keeping them back. So
I
really it's
agree.
giving them
Yeah.
a head start on what they're going to do professionally or vocationally.
And my 12 years was split actually more heavily in finance and then towards the end of my career in recruiting was in aerospace engineering. And
Wow.
so those two fields, I as a recruiter, it was mandatory that
Yes.
any applicant that we hired for those companies had a master's. So
Right.
like you said, I do agree that there are certain fields that
Yes.
after they're 18, that's incredible that they can go like right into get their masters and then they're 21 starting their job that most are 25 or 26 doing. But that's only if you really know what you want. But sometimes you just don't know in high school.
A lot of kids don't know what they do want to do in high school, and I think that's totally fine, especially since so many new jobs are going to be created. And how could our kids even know what those are going to be, right? But I do think really helping them develop critical thinking skills, communication skills, collaboration, and creativity as skill sets are really going to help them no matter what job they do. A lot of the college degrees that we offer are like business admin, psychology, interdisciplinary studies. So they're pretty broad. And those are all fields that are going to really help them in the future. The other thing I would say for parents whose kids don't know what they want to do, have them go through entrepreneurial classes or build skills or start a business in middle school and high school. Because, like we all saw in 2020, the ability to pivot quickly is what helped people hold on to jobs. And those who couldn't pivot quickly really struggled. Some of them are still struggling. And so just focus on real actual soft skills. I would say critical thinking is the number one, especially in this high tech age where understanding how to think clearly and critically is going to really hold your kids in good stead no matter what vocation they choose to go into.
I was recently at one of the homeschool conferences this summer. I went just as a mom to learn about kindergarten stuff, and I got a few cute things for Sven. But another thing that I learned, because I also wanted to talk to people at booths for Basecamp Ed, and there was one booth that was there that offered trade school of repairing cars. And
Yes.
it's something you don't even think about, but I was talking to them and they were like, oh yeah, we pay our entry level that have their certificate. It was like, depending on where you live, 22 to 25 an hour. That is wild to me that you could be in high school having, if you're homeschooled, you have 3 or 4 hours a day that you can go make $100. And by the time you graduate, you have 3 or 4 years of that experience. Like you're running that dealership's department at that point. I was very shocked. So do you at True North also help with the trades as well?
Yeah, we do. We just started a new trades and tech track where kids can earn their high school diploma in 2 years. It's a 23 credit program. It's very academically oriented. They're actually learning skills, and we're working on getting an associate's degree with that, as well as some internship opportunities for the kids. Because really, like you said, the kids can go and start earning money way before, the educational industrial complex says. And
Yeah.
I just heard that term recently and I'm like, aha, I like that term because we've really used middle school and high school as a funnel for college, which is a funnel for debt, which is a funnel for going to doing a job where you can pay off the debt. So you can work till you're in your 60s and then hopefully retire. Not a really robust, beautiful way to live when you think about it that way. But for many of our kids, that's really what we're gearing towards is there's this huge push. College, 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 college. Your kids could have college done before they graduate, and then they can go earn money. They can start a couple businesses. The other thing, too, a lot of people don't realize the baby boomers are retiring. And so all of the baby boomer businesses are for sale right now. We know 3 or 4 of our friends who are a bit older than us that are closing their businesses because they can't find somebody to sell it to. It's much easier to buy an existing business that's successful than to start one on your own. If we put $50,000 towards our kids buying a business that's already established and successful,
go way further than your college
education. Versus 1 or 2 years of college, they could be set up right off the bat, and they're still home. They still have people pouring into them in a way that's really intentional. So I think we need to really just, as parents, be really intentional about looking at return on the investment for whatever our kids do after high school. How are we really best utilizing those middle school and high school years to really get them? And I don't want to say farther, faster, like advance. We're pretty real, I would say we have really relaxed homeschool, but also really setting your kids up for success. The world is different than it was 5 years ago. And as parents, if we're getting our kids ready to launch the way we got ready, we're a generation behind the times. And so we have to really be clear about that. Now, that's a lot to think about when you're just homeschool curious. You might just be like, I just need the cute unit study for my 5-year-old. Holy mackerel. Now you're talking about, like, I got to get him ready to own a business at 18. And I'm not saying that. It's homeschooling such a beautiful way to raise your family, to get to know your kids, to really enjoy seeing all the wonder and delight that they have when they're learning to read, when they're discovering something about science, or when they've created a cool art project, or they find an area that they're passionate about that you have no idea about, and all of a sudden you're committed to helping them and learn and grow in that area. I mean, it's a rush. I'll be honest. It's such a fun way to raise your kids, and you never know where it's going to take you to. 30 years ago, I have a marriage and family therapy degree. I thought I would be doing therapy. Here I am running programs for homeschoolers around the world and talking on Zoom with people around the world on the daily and weekly. Never imagined it. And so you never know how it's going to change your life too. But I would say if you're just getting into the homeschool world, just, focus on the basics. Is your kid academically literate? Are they linguistically literate? And are they numerically literate? And focus on that And then you can just add other things as you go and worry about what business they're going to own at 18 a little bit down the road.
I mean, but like you mentioned, the state of the world that we are in, I think the growing population of the homeschool curious group, it might not just be the me's that have very young kids. Like it could be the ones that have older kids, but they're scared of the idea of going to do homeschool for a ninth grader. Like it's way harder. So I think you can be homeschool curious, whatever age their children are.
For sure. And the other thing people have to realize is it used to be illegal to homeschool, but now there are so many options. You can have your kid take 1 or 2 classes in public school or private school. You can do a couple classes at home with your kids, do a couple classes online. They could even be doing a dual degree program, or they could be doing an internship with the auto mechanic place down the road. I mean, you can do all of those things in most states at the same time. I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but as homeschoolers, you don't have to do it all yourself. There's so many academic programs, university model schools, micro schools, online academies, dual degree. I know our local hospital, you can go in and use the hospital's lab to do your biology labs or your A&P labs. So even businesses are getting in on the alternative ed market, and just, part of it is sorting out what the opportunities are, but there's so many resources to find that out too. So it's an exciting time. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I could ask you 500 more questions, but I know we're already like really long. My last kind of question and topic I wanted to bring up was you've mentioned you have a podcast too. So do you mind sharing with me a little bit more about it's called It's Not That Hard to Homeschool?
Yes, I'd love to. So we own It's Not That Hard to Homeschool, and it is a resource center for parents. We have a website. We have really large Facebook groups. We have a podcast. And on that podcast, we talk about It's Not That Hard to Homeschool. So really focused generally on middle school and high school, but what is a credit? What's a transcript? What classes create an honors program? All those kind of things. Maybe some of the more nuts and bolts that people are wondering about with alternative education, we try to address that. And it's a lot of fun. We have guest speakers on, and then we'll just do informative programs as well.
How would you recommend if parents are interested in either True North Academy or your podcast? What are the best ways to reach you?
Yeah, probably the best way to reach us is on the websites. You can go to truenorthhomeschool.academy or it's not that hard to homeschool.com. Those are our sites, or you can go over to Facebook. We're pretty active on Facebook. The Not That Hard groups, we have It's Not That Hard to Homeschool as a Facebook page. And then we have a high school group that has tens of thousands of people in it, and a K through 8 group that is pretty robust as well. We're also over on Blue Collar Homeschool, and you can find us on YouTube for both It's Not That Hard to Homeschool and True North Academy.
Send me all these links, Lisa. And in my show notes, I will include all of them because I think parents are going to be interested in this. Thank you so much for coming on. After talking to you, I was like, you have to be my first episode. So It's launching in a week, and I'm so excited for this to come out.
It's been so fun to meet you. I'm excited. It's going to be a great time for young homeschoolers with young families to join in this amazing movement, and it's just getting better and better.
This has been a production of the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. If you made it all the way to the end, you are amazing. Thank you for listening and your support. Let's stay connected, and here are my tasks for you. Subscribe, like, and share on your favorite podcast app or on my website, BaseCampEd.com. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at BaseCampEd app, and go download BaseCamp if you haven't already. Leave a comment and spread the love.